Hey garden friends, welcome to AJ's Green Thumb. So as promised, I'm finally going to go ahead and do a more detailed explanation of pruning. In this case, this is a climber. This is called the generous gardener. So with this climbing rose, she's pretty aggressive. Now, as you can see, I have the support structure, this arbor, okay, for this gate on the side of the house, on the west side of the house, and eventually I will train her to go up the arbor and over the arbor and over the gate. And she has very light pink, creamy colored blooms. It has a fragrance that reminds me of spice and myrrh. So as you can see today, she is in dire need of being pruned. And if you can come in a little closer, you'll see many of her leaf nodes are forming and the growth is accelerating right now. So the sooner the better. You have to go ahead and give her a prune. Now, when you're pruning any type of tree or shrub or bush, you have to ask yourself, why are you pruning it? So with this climbing rose, I'm pruning it because I would like to train it to go up the arbor, number one. Number two, I like to train her so that she can produce more flowers. Okay, so I want her to be a more productive rose. All right, so the tools I have is a power lever lopper. This is to reach deep inside the bush or the shrub. A folding saw, secateurs, Corona, pruners, small tipped scissors, some handy dandy mechanical gloves, and last but not least, some twist ties. And last but not least, a ladder, because as you can see, we've got some height here. She's put on quite some height. In achieving a decent prune, you have to remove any dead canes, any damaged canes, any diseased canes, and any crossing canes. So looking at this rose, I see plenty main canes at the base. So I have 4 old main canes, and then I have this new cane and this other newer cane. I'm only gonna keep 4 canes. So you always start at the bottom when you're pruning. The first cane to remove would be this old cane right here, because it is not growing in the manner I would want this rose to develop. It's coming out into the walkway or the pathway to the gate. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go in and cut her down from the bottom. All right. So it's a pretty sizable cane. So I'm gonna have to cut her up into pieces to remove her. And mind you, this rose has some serious thorns. Okay, it is not like Lady Banks. So now that I got that main cane cut at the base, I'm gonna go ahead and use my pruners to just take apart this cane. All these can be cut back to roughly 8 inches from the main cane. So the thing you want to do with aggressive climbers like this is plan in advance, which means make sure your support structures are built out, framed out, whatever have you. And as the season progresses, kind of anticipate or train your rows to go up on to that support structure the way you want it to. All right, friends, so it's a day later, and this is the result of the pruning of this climbing rose by this arbor. Looks pretty bare, looks pretty drastic, but that's all right. If we come in a little closer, you will see this right here, that swollen bump, that's a leaf node. So you step back, you're gonna have either a stem growing out of there or a very small leaflet growing out of there, which will basically produce a bloom at the end. So what I'm saying is eventually this whole rose will fill itself back out. I know it looks very drastic. And like I said yesterday, I'm left with 2 old stems and 2 new stems. All right, so let's move ahead to the front and get these roses at the front over here. This one I can't pronounce, I'll just put the name up on the screen, but it has very deep, rich crimson flowers. Clearly a lot of weeds. Clear that away. So I'll go ahead and remove this. All right. So we started off with, I think, 5 main stem, and now we're down to 3. And I'm judiciously pruning up and down each one of those 3 stems. And that, my friends, is a well-pruned climber. Off to the next. Start at the bottom. That way you kind of know what you're working with. Some serious laterals. So this rose right here is going to get a very hard prune. Don't be shy. Guys, so I did something a little different on the outside right here. The canes, the wayward canes on the outside of my fence, I just curved them back down to a support wire right here. So, and then I did the same thing with this one right here. See that? So that's gonna be a little show right there too. And that, my friends, is a properly pruned rose. All right, moving on. All right, so we're about to prune up. I hope you guys can see, it's a little darker back here. It's the east side, and it is close to sunset. So there's shade on this side of the house. But here are the 5 Rad Sunny yellow knockout roses. Let's go ahead and chop these back. First things first, clean your tools. Why? Because we don't want to spread any supposed diseases from one plant to the other. All right, so here's the finished product. Not sure if you guys can really see it well, but they're barely a foot tall. This one's probably, I don't know, 15 inches tall. But all 5 bushes have been severely cut back, and that's what you want to do. All right.